So, heading to the Olympic trials, everyone was excited for the last chance qualifier, where only the champion advances to the United States Olympic trials to compete for the Olympic team, unless you're at 57 kilograms or 65, but that's a topic for another day. However, one huge factor that really stole the show at the last chance qualifier was the high school stars, not only winning huge high-level matches, but dominating stars in the sport to make it very deep into their brackets, with some of these high schoolers winning the entire tournament and qualifying for the Olympic trials, along with several other high school wrestlers already qualified for the Olympic trials. We'll cover it all soon, but welcome back everyone to TrueTan Wrestling. If I miss any of your favorite high schoolers in this video, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I figured I'd put that in there not only for comments, but because there are so many beyond good high schoolers wrestling right now, and I really only think it's going to continue to climb over this next year. But for now, I'll entertain you all by talking about some of my favorite high school wrestlers that are exploding onto wrestling headlines. I think the obvious place to start with this video is the star of the weekend, Jax Forest, who we all know has had a lot of age level success. But to tech fall Nathan Tomasello at the last chance qualifier is honestly insane to me. I think we're seeing a huge trend right now in the younger you are and the smarter you are during your younger training, the better it is for you moving forward. Like for example, when I was growing up, there was just a big factor in strength alone. Like a 30-year-old is just going to be stronger than a 17-year-old, and that's just how it was. However, we all know skill and technique overthrows strength in the long run. And I think that's the biggest takeaway to notice. These young stars are getting some of the best coaches at camps and in some cases their own high schools. When you can get a college level wrestler, especially a very high level college wrestler, in your room day in and day out from 8th grade on or even younger, you're just going to jump levels. Now, not all of these college wrestlers are great coaches per se, but in my opinion, there's a real fluctuation of college guys transitioning into high school clubs or just high schools in general, and it's really hard not to notice the correlation and just a huge jump in skill level in the sport. Another weird thing I notice is, well, not necessarily weird, it's just I think kids are having more fun in the sport than ever before, which might be a weird takeaway I'm noticing, but I think it's a small factor. Another thing though that I think we can all agree on is that I believe this skill jump is only going to continue to climb, but it might stand still for a second, and let me explain what I mean by that. Let's look at a guy like Spencer Lee, for example. He was levels above basically everyone in his class coming in, and his class was a monster wrestling class heading into college. I'd argue Spencer Lee and some other guys in his class really caused a massive skill jump in the sport. But since everyone was jumping that skill level chasing that class, no one really noticed how high the skill jump was going. Now with that class finally leaving college wrestling altogether, which seemed like it lasted forever, this new level of wrestling is seeming to emerge, has been building for over 6 years, is finally here, and I think it's here to stay. I think that is very evident in Jax Forest and Bo Bassett's performance, who both freestyle tech fall 2 former national champions. Neither of them are high school seniors either, so I think the high school level is just going to continue to climb. However, once they get to college, I think we could see a standstill with the field until, well, the next 6 to 8 year class comes in, getting training from those older guys that are losing to these young stars now, and it's an endless cycle that will go on forever and ever in the sport. I'm not saying once these high level wrestlers get to college they don't get any better. I actually think the opposite. I think they jump a whole other level. I'm just saying the field in college adapts a lot quicker than they do in high school. So when all these college guys go back to high school and start coaching up these youngsters, they jump a huge level, but we normally don't notice because they're not wrestling college guys. However, we get guys like the McCourt wrestlers who are wrestling college and out of college guys all the time, and you really start to notice this huge jump in wrestling that's about to enter the college landscape. The craziest fact of all this to me is neither Bassett or Forrest are perfect per se in their resumes. Bassett and Forrest have both lost in the past year to other high schoolers. I honestly feel like this happens all the time with them too. They might lose a match that seems odd, in quotes, to still a very high level wrestler, which again proves more wrestlers are just having fun and getting better every time they step on the mat, and it's not just the wrestlers at Bishop McCourt. I know Bassett and Forest stole the show this weekend, which is wild considering one of the biggest high school national tournaments was going on in Virginia Beach, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. There was also Aiden Valencia, who gave Bassett one of his closest matches of the weekend, besides his finals defeat, obviously. Joe Celia of Wyoming Seminary was also in the field, picking up a few wins, along with Wyatt Henkel of Blair gathering a few wins on the backside as well. The AWA stars from Wisconsin in Sinclair and Cole Mirasola made the semifinals of their respective weight classes as well. And I can't fail to mention Carroll of Oklahoma State and McDaniel of soon-to-be Nebraska's performances. They're not high schoolers per se anymore, but they both just finished their redshirt seasons. McDaniel's being a gray shirt, but still some youngsters dominating a field here, with Carroll maybe finding a better weight for himself at 97 kilograms, beating Jacob Warner 8-7 in the semis, and then beating McDaniel to qualify for the Olympic trials. Lastly, even though there's so much more to talk about, I have to talk about PJ Duke returning to the national scene, literally smashing his way through NHSCAs, and I'm excited to see him back and healthy. Overall though, this all makes me excited to see more of these wrestlers in the future, especially some of them at the Olympic trials. And again, I only have my speculation on why these high school wrestlers continue to make these big jumps year over year. I really just think the level of high school coaching is really insane right now, and the new level of wrestling is taking over with new stars, which is really exciting for the sport. I know I missed a ton of youngsters that didn't really compete this weekend, like Marcus Blaze, who I believe is already qualified for the Olympic trials, and he lost to Ben Davino at Ironman, so that's another one. There's Cody Merrill, who's an absolute stud going to Oklahoma State. Speaking of Oklahoma State, there's Ladarian Lockett, who has an age level medal. There's Anthony Knox, who's a stud that also competed at this tournament. There's the other Mirasola brother. There's Zach Ryder, who's going to Penn State. There's Peterson Manville, who also competed at this event. There's Colin Rath, who gave him a really tight match. There's another Buzakis coming up through. And, there's just so many high school wrestlers I could mention that I failed to mention throughout the video that also compete at this event. And, I could go on for hours with it. So I just thank you all very much for watching my babbles on why I think high school wrestling's at such a high level right now. This is just a short little highlight of some of the best high school wrestlers I've seen so far. And if you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like. And if I missed any of your favorites, leave it in the comment section below. Also, if you really enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you hit that subscribe button so you never miss some of the content on the channel. Now, with all that said, I hope you all have a great day. Take care, everybody.